Welcome back, legends, to Nation of Glory. The place where stories aren't just told, they're felt. Today's story is one of mystery, pride, and heart. It's the journey of a man who wears a mask, not to hide from the world, but to show the world who he truly is. A man who fights not only with his hands, but with his soul. A man who turned pain into power, and silence into fire. This is the untold story of Pentagón Jr., or as the WWE Universe now calls him, Penta. A name that echoes through the world of lucha libre, a legacy carved in blood, sweat, and respect. And behind that mask lies one of the most passionate wrestlers of a generation, a man who never forgot where he came from, no matter how bright the spotlight became. Let's take a journey, not just into his career, but into his heart. Born into a wrestling family in Mexico, Pentagón Jr. didn't choose wrestling, wrestling chose him. His father was a professional wrestler, his brothers too. So for young Penta, the sound of the crowd, the echo of the ring ropes, the smell of sweat and passion, that was home. But here's the thing, in lucha libre, legacy is both a blessing and a curse. When you come from a famous wrestling family, people don't just expect you to succeed, they demand it. And for Penta, the weight of that mask was heavier than it looked. He trained day and night, learning the ancient traditions of Mexican wrestling, where masks aren't just costumes. They're sacred. They represent honor, family, and identity. In lucha libre, losing your mask is like losing your soul. So from the start, Pentagón Jr. wasn't just fighting opponents, he was fighting to prove he deserved that mask. When he first entered the ring in the early 2000s, no one knew who he was under the mask. And that's exactly how he wanted it. Because behind the mystery, behind the dark eyes, was a young man burning to make a name for himself. He wasn't the son, or the brother, he was Pentagón Jr. A warrior of his own story. He fought in small arenas first, dusty gyms, open-air shows, places where the crowd's cheers echoed off metal chairs and concrete walls. But even then, fans could see something different in him. The intensity, the presence, the way he moved like he was dancing with danger. And soon, the independent circuits in Mexico weren't enough to contain him. He wanted the world to see. He began wrestling internationally, across Latin America, Japan, and the United States. And that's where the legend truly began to grow. Because Pentagón Jr. wasn't just a luchador, he was a storyteller. Every match was a battle of emotion. Every move meant something, and that signature phrase, Cero Miedo, zero fear, became his identity. He'd stand in the middle of the ring, raise his hand, and shout it with all his heart, Cero Miedo. And the crowd would answer. Because it wasn't just a catchphrase, it was a declaration. A promise that no matter how big the challenge, no matter how hard the fight, he would never back down. And that's what made fans fall in love with him. He wasn't the biggest, he wasn't the richest, but he had something more powerful than all of that, heart. As his fame grew, so did his rivalries. In Mexico's AAA promotion, Pentagón Jr. became one of the most feared and respected wrestlers on the roster. He went to war with legends, sometimes brutal, sometimes bloody, always unforgettable. His fights weren't just matches, they were wars of pride. He'd face opponents twice his size, and still walk out like a warrior who refused to break. And every time he shouted Cero Miedo, fans felt it in their bones. But like every great hero, Penta's journey wasn't without pain. There were times he was injured, betrayed, underestimated. There were moments when he thought about walking away. Wrestling isn't just physical pain, it's emotional. You give everything, your time, your body, your blood, and sometimes the world gives nothing back. But Penta, he kept going. Because lucha libre wasn't just a job. It was his life. Then came the moment that changed everything, his rise to international stardom. The world outside Mexico began to take notice. Promotions in the United States started calling. And soon, he found himself performing for companies like Lucha Underground, a show that introduced his dark, mysterious, violent beauty to the world. There, Pentagón Jr. became something more than a wrestler. He became a symbol, a mix of fear and fascination. The man in black who spoke with his hands and fought like his life depended on it. His matches with stars like Phoenix, his brother, were art, a combination of athleticism, emotion, and storytelling that made fans from around the world say, "Who is this guy?" But even with all that success, Penta stayed grounded. He never stopped honoring where he came from, the streets, the culture, the people who believed in him. Every mask he wore, every match he fought, was for Mexico. And that's what makes his story so emotional, because behind the fame, he never lost the heart of the kid who dreamed in the shadows of the lucha ring. As years passed, Penta and his brother Phoenix became a global tag team phenomenon, the Lucha Brothers. Together, they created moments that wrestling fans will never forget. Their chemistry was unmatched, their passion, contagious, and their matches, they were poetry in motion, acrobatic, brutal, and beautiful all at once. They fought in every major promotion, From AAA to Impact Wrestling, from AEW to now the grandest stage of them all, WWE. And when WWE signed Pentagón Jr., the world took a deep breath. Because it meant something powerful. It meant the world of lucha libre had crossed fully into the global mainstream. Now, under the name Penta, he performs on the Raw brand. And even though the lights are brighter, the crowd's bigger, and the cameras everywhere, one thing has never changed: Cero Miedo. He walks to that ring with the same pride he had when he wrestled in a small Mexican arena all those years ago. Every kick, every chop, every dive, still full of emotion. Still real. Fans connect with Penta because he doesn't play a character. He is Penta, a man who fights for culture, honor, and self-belief. And when he stares through that mask into the camera, you can feel the fire in his eyes. That's not acting, that's heart. What people love about him isn't just the moves. It's the meaning behind them. It's the story of a man who refused to let fear control him. The story of someone who faced rejection, pain, and loss, and turned it into art. You see, wrestling isn't just about championships or fame. It's about connection. It's about standing in that ring and making people feel. And that's what Penta does better than almost anyone. He reminds us that behind the mask, behind the fight, there's always a dreamer. A believer. A survivor. There's a saying in Mexico: El Luchador no muere, solo cambia de máscara. The wrestler never dies, he only changes his mask. And Penta is the living proof of that. Because his legacy isn't just in his victories, it's in his courage. It's in the way he inspires the next generation of wrestlers to carry on the lucha spirit. And that's why his story matters, not just to wrestling fans, but to everyone. Because Penta's journey is a universal one. It's about never giving up on who you are. It's about facing the world, no matter how scary, with zero fear. Think about it. How many times have we all felt small, scared, or unworthy? How many times have people doubted us, told us we'd never make it? And how many times have we proved them wrong by standing up again? That's what Cero Miedo is really about. It's not just for wrestling. It's for life. When you see Penta in that ring, wearing that mask, shouting those words, you're not just watching a wrestler. You're watching a symbol of hope. A reminder that no matter what stands in your way, no matter how many times life knocks you down, fear is a choice. And if you face it, if you stand tall and say Cero Miedo, then nothing can stop you. That's the message he brings to every crowd, every fan, every child watching from the stands. That's the power of his story. From a small boy in Mexico chasing a dream, to one of the most recognized masked wrestlers in the world. From local shows to global television. From pain to pride. That's the journey of Pentagón Jr. And as he continues to light up arenas around the world under the WWE banner, one thing is certain: his story is far from over. Because legends don't end, they evolve. And behind that mask still beats the heart of a warrior. So the next time you see him step into the ring, remember this. Every scar on his body, every drop of sweat, every tear, it all tells the same story. A story of belief. A story of honor. A story of Cero Miedo. Because sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is face your fear and keep fighting. And that, my friends, is what makes Penta more than a wrestler. It makes him a hero. A symbol of what we can all be when we stop being afraid to be ourselves. So as the lights dim and his music hits, as he raises his hand and the crowd chants with him, feel it. Because that energy, that roar of Cero Miedo, it's not just his voice. It's the voice of everyone who's ever fought for their dreams. And that's what makes Pentagón Jr. the man, the mask, the mystery, a legend of the nation of glory. This is more than wrestling. It's a reminder to live without fear, to fight with purpose, and to never forget who you are. Because glory is not given. It's earned. And Penta has earned every bit of it. Thank you for joining us on this journey today. If this story inspired you, hit that like button and drop a comment with your favorite Cero Miedo moment. Don't forget to subscribe to Nation of Glory for more powerful, emotional stories every week, where passion meets purpose. And most importantly, share this video with someone who needs to be reminded to live without fear. Because the world belongs to the fearless. This is Nation of Glory. And until next time, Cero Miedo.